And another live episode of Tales from the Forlorn Dopes. Hello, everyone. I am Cybersmily.
Greetings, programs. I am the co-host, Wisdom.
And tonight we have a kind of another interview.
Yeah, we're starting something new. We're going to be interviewing the prolific webmasters, site owners from back in the day.
The OGs.
And we're going to start this series with Gary ASTLEFORD, aka Ocelot from the Mockeries site. One of the very first mega sites out there for Cyberpunk 2020. Certainly one of the first sites I ever visited.
Yes.
So Gary, it's wonderful to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, Gary. First thing
Yep.
we start off with is our full auto questionnaire. So it's short, quick questions with short, quick answers. There are no wrong answers, but there is one right answer in this list. So first off, 2013, 2020, 2045, or 2077?
2023. I'm sorry, 2013. 2023 is 2013.
Yeah. That's the corporate war. So, favorite Cyberpunk role?
Netrunner.
Favorite piece of cyberware?
It's cyberware adjacent, but there's this. I think it's in Chromebook 2 or 3. Kind of this synthetic, nasty-looking skin you can put over your cyber limb. I always thought that was kind of visceral and neat. Yeah.
Flesh Weave, yeah, that's good stuff. By Psychist.
Yeah. Favorite Cyberpunk weapon?
Oh, was it the Super Chief, the big 455?
Yep.
454 Kasul. Yeah. That's Chromebook 1. Yeah.
All right. Favorite Cyberpunk Red or 2020 book?
Ooh, that's tough. You know, the one that really got me was Protect and Serve.
Really?
Yeah, because I used to run a lot of police-themed Cyberpunk games, and I got a lot of use out of that book.
Yeah,
Cool.
I've run many police-themed games. It's one of my favorite things to run, actually. That and Nomads.
Least favorite Cyberpunk Red or 2020 book?
The original Rocker Boy supplement.
Okay. Favorite Night City gang?
The Bozos, of course.
Of course.
There we go.
I think is the most popular gang that everyone agrees with.
Favorite... Well, it's either that or the Kennedys, you know.
Yeah, true. Favorite mega corporation?
Arasaka.
Nice.
Gotta go with ones.
So you mentioned that you didn't play 2077, but your wife did. So do you know anything about the game?
Probably, but the basics as much as I would know.
Got it.
I am reticent in playing, but I have had more important fish to fry.
Yeah.
And I've got a big list of games that I need to play at some point.
Understandable. So we'll bypass that question. We'll go into Edgerunner anime. I think you mentioned that you did watch it. Lucy, Rebecca, or Kiwi?
I got it with Kiwi.
The
Nice.
Netrunner, of course. David, Main, or Pilar?
David.
Smasher or Faraday?
Oh, Faraday.
Agreed.
Favorite Cyberpunk movie, anime, or TV series?
Oh man, that's really hard.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say off the top of my head, Blade Runner, because it's one of the first films out there.
Yeah, it's the big one.
Favorite Cyberpunk fictional character? And again, this is the genre, not necessarily the games.
Do you remember Turner from Account Zero?
Yes.
I'd
Indeed.
have to say Turner. Yeah.
Dick Gibson, Stevenson, or Sterling?
Oh, I'm definitely a Gibson person.
Favorite cyberpunk novel?
Again, let's go back to the original Neuromancer, the one that got me started.
Okay.
Yep.
Favorite cyberpunk comic graphic novel, if any?
I can't think of any.
Okay, no worries. Is Shadowrun cyberpunk?
It will be when it grows up.
That's beautiful.
It's a good enough answer.
I like that.
So that's our questionnaire. So for those who don't know who Gary is, again, we mentioned that he was part of the Mockery site back in the day. He also works in the gaming industry for tabletop games. He's written several supplements, Artifacts of the Age, Legendary Weapons, which was a D&D 3.5 compatible product. Artifacts of the Age, Rings, which is also a 3.5. Children of the Horned Rats, which is Warhammer Fantasy role-playing.
That book. That's fucking awesome.
Complete Champion, which was the D&D third edition. So you worked for the big guy. You worked on Dark Heresy, first edition. You've worked on The Dirge of Valerios, which is Fantasy Age. The other thing that was listed in the RPG Geek, they listed Drug Lab Unlimited for Cyberpunk 2020, Interlock Unlimited. So, Derek?
Okay, I'll clarify that. He wrote Drug Lab Unlimited for the Mockery site back in the day, and that is such a ridiculously popular article. Like, I've seen that converted to every version of Cyberpunk. Like, I've seen it converted to V3, Red. Obviously, we did it for Interlock Unlimited. I got permission from Gary first, just because that's what I do. I've seen it for Shadowrun. I saw it. I want to say I saw it for Twilight 2K. Yeah,
Well,
Ocelot's Drug Lab is by far one of the most popular, like, fan created cyberpunk files out there.
It was a lot of fun to write too.
You did Volume 4 of the Enemy Within Collector's Edition, The Horned Rat, for Warhammer Fantasy 4th Edition. Fantasy Age Campaign Builder's Guide, and Fireborn Game Master Handbook. And you also have various articles written in various publications for Action Check, Dragon, Dungeon, and Edgerunner. So,
sounds right.
All right.
No, but my resume is a lot longer than that. I think that list is very incomplete. But
yeah, I'm getting it from.
It's good for a starter.
Yeah, RPG News, RPG.
Oh, just to
one of those groups.
Just to clarify, really quick, Drug Lab Unlimited, the conversion. That's one of the that was, like, I think the first thing that Seth Skorkowski and I collaborated on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was the one who was all like, "I want to do this," and I was like, "That's cool. I'll get a hold of Gary."
And that's where he became a well-known figure, or started his RPG career.
Well, I don't know that I'm a well-known figure.
Well-known to us.
I've been fortunate to have some opportunities that I won't say no.
Yeah, so
I'm just happy that people are still playing with those things after so many years.
So, way back in the mid '90s, I want to say around '96. That's when I first discovered the internet. We first had a home computer that was capable of getting on it. That's when I discovered Mockeries, and like I said, it was literally one of the first sites I found. The Mockeries, Morning Man's, Super Dan's
Mhm.
site. Back in those early days, and that was before you and Amy got married. When it like that's hence why it's called Mockeries, I would assume. Uh, you guys were just part of a gaming group together.
No. We I was running a telephone bulletin board system back in those days. This
Oh my
was
god,
this was like in the late '80s, early '90s. And she called my board, and I voice validated her, and we ended up chatting for a while. And after a month or two, we ended up meeting together at the Comic-Con volunteer picnic, and we've been together ever since.
that's beautiful.
Cartoon
BBS
love
is
story.
holy crap. That
That was
is
real net running, is what that was.
yeah, that is going way back. You guys are truly OG. I'm not even going to try to explain what BBSs are to the modern audience. Like it would make their brains
What
explode.
are you talking about? It's in Cyberpunk 2020. They talk about BBS.
Sure, but they think it's fantasy. Trust me.
Yeah.
They don't know news groups. They don't know any of that stuff. They don't know IIRC,
ICQ,
ICQ. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Prodigy, AOL.
Link.
The
Yeah.
Wild West days of the internet.
Netscape.
You always bring up Netscape, and I still use. I would use Netscape today if I could. I still use the closest thing I can get to it, which is Mozilla's Firefox. But I was using a thing called SeaMonkey, which was a Netscape emulator. It functioned exactly the same. It just they were keeping it up, and then they didn't. I would use it today if I could.
Yeah. So, Gary, how did you get into tabletop? What's your origin story?
Origin story was 6th grade. We had the Scholastic Book Fair, and they sold the Endless Quest books for Dungeons and Dragons. And I was a big fan of like the Choose Your Own Adventure style books back then. And I picked one of the D&D ones up, not knowing anything about D&D. And from that, I ended up buying a monster manual at the at B. Dalton Books so I could look at the monsters and find out more about them.
Nice.
And eventually, it took a while. I mean, that was 6th grade, but I wasn't actually in an active gaming group until junior high school. So 12, when I was 12. So I was kind of like a lonely gamer of one for a very long time. Well, 2 years, but back then it felt like forever.
I
Yeah.
sure do miss the Dalton books, man.
Well, got Barnes and Noble afterwards, but yeah, beat Dalton's. Wow, blast from the past.
Pete Dalton, Sam Goody, like all the smaller bookstores. Even if they were chains, they were go to the mall. There'd be a bookstore.
So I assume
Music store.
Yeah, I assumed you started with Dungeons and Dragons, and then throughout your gaming career, you probably entered into several other games to eventually land into Cyberpunk.
I didn't start with I mean, technically, if you count the Endless Quest books as D&D, yeah, okay. But the first game I actually played, role-playing game tabletop, was the revised Recon, which is a Vietnam War.
Ooh, that's a good game.
Genre game. And this, I'm sorry, the system mechanics by today's standards are kind of pretty meh, but it depends really on the game you wanna run. But I had a lot of fun.
I've got all the Recon books. Those were great. In fact, I would go as far as to say, rules wise, I think they were probably the best thing Palladium ever put out. Franchise wise, I definitely liked Robotech more, just because it appeals to the anime nerd in me. But rules wise, Recon was great. It did exactly what it was supposed to do, and it did it pretty well.
Yeah, I've got a lot of good memories from it. Also dabbled in the Morrow project with some of that same group. We did some D&D, obviously, because everybody does.
Yeah.
There's no shame in it.
unavoidable.
And I kind of just liked rules systems, so I would buy a game just to read its rules. And I ended up being introduced to this fellow who was a friend of a friend, and he had just picked up the Cyberpunk black box rules. And I'd never heard of Cyberpunk. But then hearing about it, it kind of rang a bell in my head from on my old Commodore. We had this computer game called Neuromancer. It was the Neuromancer computer game. Very silly, but that was the game.
Was that a text-based one or no?
No, there were graphics.
Oh, okay.
It was just kind of clunky. But back to my recollection. No, it's okay. So yeah, that was the game. The computer game got me to read Neuromancer because there was a lot of stuff in the book that you could use certain passwords to hack into BBSs. So I read that book cover to cover and loved it. But anyway, I didn't actually play Cyberpunk until this guy introduced me to it, and I fell in love with it right away. His friend didn't like it, and so his friend kind of went off and did his own thing, and he and I stuck together and played Cyberpunk together for forever, several years. And in the meantime, I played Shadowrun with a different group. I played D&D for a long time with another group, and then that group kind of had a falling out with everybody, as these big groups tend to. And one side started playing Vampire, and the other one started playing D&D, and they didn't get along anymore.
Yeah.
And then from that point, I just kind of went off and played with the BBS gamers, because there were several of those as well. And that was GURPS.
Didn't have to get involved in the drama.
There was drama everywhere. I mean,
there always is.
Especially
at that
when
age.
You're kids, yeah. Everything's
Especially in the 90s when all the shows were like 90210 and Melrose Place and real world stuff. Man, that's when we really fell in love with some like teenage young adult drama.
It was, well, it all reminds me of the 80s now.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Cyberpunk without big shoulder pads?
yes. Big hair.
I mean, who was more Cyberpunk than Don Johnson in Miami Vice?
Yeah.
That's sort of Euro look, but
I mean, it falls into that whole Nagel design aesthetic that was so prevalent in the early Cyberpunk 2020 books and 2013 especially.
Yeah.
Like Don Johnson, Miami Vice, that just fits right in there.
Yeah. So was this around the time you started creating, the homebrew stuff?
The only reason I knew how to do that I could do homebrew, it was the only reason it really came to mind was that one of the guys I gamed with, he had turned the Recon system, he was the one who used to run it, into, he'd adapted the Aliens movie to Recon.
Ooh.
And so he used to run these Aliens games for us, and I always thought that was a lot of fun. But he showed me, not just through his actions, he didn't actually sit me down one day and say, Gary, you have to do this. No, he showed me through his actions that you could take these rules and modify them. The game was basically ours to tinker with. And that's kind of when I started tinkering with the other games that I played, Top Secret SI or D6 Star Wars, Western Games Star Wars. Eventually, when I got into Cyberpunk, it was just the system was open for reinterpretation or expansion. Everything that I found in those books from the Drug Lab to like the programming rules, they were so bare bones, and there could always have been more. The life path could have been bigger. But I understand they were marketing it to an audience, and they had to keep things tight. But there was lots of room to improve or to expand, and I wanted to fill that void somehow. at least for my own games.
Yeah, I think there's a part of the community who really looks at the books as they're as written and no one should ever tinker with them. But I think as you mature as a gamer, eventually you have that. I think this needs some improvement in this area, and thinking about how to improve it and applying that approval.
Mm-hmm.
It's not also just improve, but expand. I mean, there, like in any game system, there's going to be stuff that the rules just aren't going to cover, and it's nice to have. It's even if you got to create them yourself, it's nice to have rules to cover those situations.
But it's also the drive to tinker with those rules. I was also driven by my own preferences, and so far as the games I was playing were concerned. And I'd played a lot of D&D up to that point, and I'd never really liked class-based systems. And that was the one sticking point for me with Cyberpunk and Cyberpunk 2020 was the fact that they have these class, basically the role system is a class system. And on thinking about that at one point, I said, you know what happens if we just take the classes out, take the roles out? And it works just fine without them. So that was kind of where I really got started on Cyberpunk stuff.
Yeah. So your site was named Mockeries. I'm assuming that was Amy's.
That was her handle.
Character name. Oh, her handle. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we were all as I said, we were all bulletin board people in the pre-internet days, and that includes Amy, and her handle was Mockery. Yeah.
Hence where Cyberpunk gets the name, right? The handle.
Yeah, because it was a basic. Nobody went by their full or right name on the bulletin boards back then. It was just
you got to be cool.
Yeah. Well, it was just part of the fun, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you feel different.
Right. Everybody want to be zero cool.
So did you
guys ever
go ahead?
Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Did you ever contribute to Interface back in the day?
I sent a submission in. This is when I was first dickering around with the Cyberpunk rules, and this is before I'd even met Amy. And I wrote something up. Geez, I don't even want to remember what it was about. It was like some short story, and then it had game stats for his car and his gun and something else. But I sent that into Interface magazine, not expecting to hear anything back, just as a cold submission. And I ended up getting it back in the mail 2-3 weeks later. And Chris Hockabout, who was the fellow who was running Interface at the time, wrote me back. I think I still have the letter somewhere. And he basically had some feedback on the article. Apparently really liked it, and that if I had any other ideas, I could get in touch with him. And that was I didn't get published in Interface, but I touched the silver lining on the cloud.
Nice.
Yeah, we've had Chris on the show. He was one of our first guests. He was the first person even remotely connected to professional gaming that I ever talked to, because I've said this before, but he put his phone number in the back of one of the interfaces, like next to where you write in for the editorials and whatnot, fan mail. Mm-hmm. So I just called him up one day, and we talked for a good long while, and then didn't talk to him again until the early 2000s, I want to say. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met Chris. I'm connected to him professionally. We're basically in the same computer games industry. Or he was. I don't know if he still is.
I think
but
he might still be.
I met a lot of the other
we talked to them.
A lot of the other Art Historian folks, and they were all good people.
Yeah, we've had quite a few of them on, and basically it sounds like working with Mike was basically like working with family.
Really. And for a lot of them, it was a springboard right into the
Yeah.
computer games industry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, have you tried Cyberpunk Red yet, or is that something that's still on your horizon? Or
Well, I got a minion to pick me up a copy of like the box set that they released at Gen Con. When this is when
yeah.
I was living in Canada. There was no way I was going to be going to Gen Con at the time, but I had a friend who was there bring me a copy. So that was my first look at it, and then when it came out, I bought it. And I looked it over, but it wasn't really where my mind was at the time.
Hmm.
But it still has some of the same problems I had with the original Cyberpunk, which is basically the roles.
yeah,
It's very structured towards a certain type of character gen, and I just prefer a little
Yeah.
more freeform in that.
It's very much in that like newer game philosophy / aesthetic where it's moving towards a rules light or lighter, I should say, because it's a hell of a thick book. But
Mhm.
in terms of like combat, it's much lighter than 2020.
I'm not saying that it's not a good product. It's not a good system. I'm just saying it's
Right.
not something that it's not a system I would gravitate towards. At least not right now.
No, I mean, perfectly honest. I mean, it's not the system I use for my games. I still use, I use Interlock Unlimited, but that's still mostly 2020. So yeah, I get you.
the interlock system is the nice, easy stat plus skill plus a D10, and even your system, Derek, you kind of removed the concept of rolls, more or less.
I didn't remove
specialties.
them. I just altered them so that they're basically specialties that, like you said, they all work like combat sense. There's no limit on how many of these specialties you can acquire, and you just acquire them by doing it. Like if you get in a lot of fights, you earn combat sense. If you spend a lot of time net running, you get interface. If you are making deals, you'll pick up some street deal on the side. Like
Yep.
It's all about just being part of that lifestyle and gaining those that experience, that specialized experience that you only get from doing it.
Yep. So Gary, do you GM mostly, or do you player?
I play when I can. I've mostly been a GM forever. I do have my chance to shine in the player's seat once in a while. So
Got
yeah.
it. So, do you have any advice for like a GM on what makes a good scenario, or even to a further point, what makes a good cyberpunk scenario?
I suppose that depends on
The genre,
the type of cyberpunk you're talking about.
right?
I think it's rather subjective. I think whatever, and this is going to sound like a complete cop out. I think whatever you feel is cyberpunk, I think is what cyberpunk is.
You know what?
I've
I'll
se-
agree to that 100%. That's not a cop out at all.
So the key to making a good adventure, a good cyberpunk adventure, a good any adventure, is to know your players, is to know what they want, and be willing to collaborate with that. You could also bring to the table your own ideas. You can say, I had an idea for an all cop game because I've done this several times. I had an idea for an all cop game. Are you interested in playing? And what kind of cop would you like to be?
I want to be the broody veteran that's can't take
it
this
was
shit anymore.
it was a wonderful game too. It was really a lot of fun. And I'm only thinking of one of them because the cops genre, the whole police and law enforcement genre, and how very nuanced and fraught
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it would be even more so now, I think, given current events.
Yeah, I don't know. It's nice to look at police work in a fantasy vein. even if you're playing like gritty, corrupt cops, for a police game to work, the majority of the police in your world, like there has to be that, law and order framework for it to work in the first place, and as in the real world, that moves further and further away from the case, sadly.
Yeah.
Well, again, I think
And I'd have to,
with a cop campaign, you have tons of resources to go and watch.
Oh,
Right?
it's wonderful.
For the amount of cop dramas there are, even comedies and various places you can pick up little tidbits of story to form a campaign.
yeah, you could be buddy cops. You
I was
could
gonna
be
say,
investigative cops, procedurals.
Could be a bad lieutenant.
I don't want to play in that game, but yeah.
Like again, it runs the gamut of lightheartedness to just like really crazy stuff.
Yeah, I'd have to say that if I ran my cop games today, they would be a hell of a lot different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want the cop flavor without actually being cops, private investigator games are every bit as fun. It feels kind of that same itch and let you go into the noir aspects a little more, but
very organized heist groups work too.
Yeah, absolutely. You get your heat action in. I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Mockeries was so big for so long and so popular and beloved, and then it disappeared. Is there any plans whatsoever to bring the site back?
I won't say we haven't discussed it, but we have not gone past that. Most of what we put out there is still available here, there, elsewhere. Although I don't know if everything's survived. Obviously we have it all somewhere.
On some hard drive scrolled away.
Yeah, but just the way the internet is, with you put yourself out there and you put yourself at a little bit of risk these days. It's not like back in the early 90s when we were running mockeries and occasionally we'd have a flame war on the fucking forums. It's like it was all. These days
it was
it's
all good
different.
fun. Nothing was ever taken very seriously.
Exactly. But there are people out there who are just agents of chaos, or they're just angry. I don't know, and I'd rather just avoid the association.
I can definitely believe that. It's a different environment completely than it was back then.
Yeah, and just online tabletop game culture it's so far beyond what it was when we were doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously porn was always the big thing on the internet, right? but just below that was everything else, and then gaming was kind of at the bottom.
True.
It's just nerd stuff. But these days, it's like it's hip to be a nerd. It's hip to be a geek. D&D it's so popular that I was at Five Below with my daughter yesterday, and they sell sets of day gaming dice at Five Below for $3.
Damn, that's cheap. Go check that out.
No, I didn't say they were particularly nice dice, but
I mean,
it's just gaming is just so much more popular than it was when we were younger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's good because our demographics have definitely broadened. But on the other hand, it doesn't make it feel as special anymore.
I can see that. That now we were never the cool kids growing up, and now it's hip to be a gamer.
Makes me so angry.
Yeah.
I could have been cool.
I don't think that's
Yeah.
not quite how it's not quite how I see it.
I'd have still gotten beat up between classes.
We all did.
That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, well,
but it would have been a lot easier to find people to play some pickup games at lunchtime.
True.
That lunch was never long enough to game. I knew some kids who did it. They'd take their lunch. They'd actually, when we had our 15, 20-minute break, they would go out there and play for 10 minutes.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was tenacious, but it just wasn't enough time for me.
Well, play in study hall. We got in trouble for that quite a few times.
To play Cyberpunk 2020 in a combat scenario, yeah, that's going to take more than 10 minutes. For the amount of dice rolling is, or whatever game system. Combat is usually the killer.
Yeah. And that's what it mostly was just getting out there for some skirmishes. My character versus your character type stuff. You'd have like half an hour for lunch and
yeah. So Gary, what do you look for in a player, or what do you find most thrilling about being a player?
I said, what do I look for in my players?
Yeah.
Or.
Yeah. So if, for example, if you're creating a group, right, of teams, yes, you put your pitch out there, but what kind of player are you looking to be at a table? I guess is more of a better question.
In the case that I'm shopping for a new player,
yeah,
it doesn't happen that often, but sometimes it does. I like people who are reliable. I like people who are mature and dependable, and honest too. I mean, if you can't make a game, don't wait until the day before to tell me. Tell me then, and imaginative, and also willing to mutually, to be part of a group telling a story, not rather than being like always being in the spotlight. Somebody who doesn't necessarily. Everybody craves their own time in the spotlight, yes, and I think a good DM or GM will provide that. But I think a player, if that's all they want, that can get kind of boring for the others.
Yes, I've been in those games. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But overall, just a good person.
Yeah, that's the key for me is, respectful, not a jerk.
Yeah, I will welcome anybody, literally anybody, to my table to play with me. But people who are, who don't like certain other people's.
Yeah, no, they never will.
Yeah, we all need to accept each other.
Yep.
We all need to be, because we're all on the same planet together. And who knows, we could all be trapped on the same island and be our own D&D group someday. So
we might all end up in the same nursing home, sitting around a table playing something.
But it is the dream.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it's only a couple of years in front of us that you'll see in nursing homes like gaming tables.
I mean, you already see video game systems in gaming homes or in like retirement homes and whatnot. Yeah. I in fact suggested when my mom's boyfriend, when he went into a rest home, I suggested to him, you ought to get together with these people that you're friends with here and try some Dungeons and Dragons. I can hook you up with the books. And he wouldn't go for it. But they play board games all the time.
Yeah. Dungeons and Dragons, that's for nerds.
No. It's satanic.
Oh, yes.
That too, yeah.
Yep.
Got to invoke the satanic panic.
Yeah, mine.
God, those were the good old days, weren't they?
Yeah, well.
Man, it was. I mean, we at the time we were ostracized, but it kind of felt cool to be like the outside force looking in and the dangerous ones in the school. Even though, like, I couldn't fight my way out of a paper sack, but I was D&D, so I'm aligned with Satan.
Or thinking that someone could cast a hex on you.
Yeah.
From first edition Player's Handbook.
Think about it in today's terms, and if you have a group doing something that the majority of society either doesn't understand or thinks is evil, in today's conspiracy cult society, what would that do to that group of people? What would that do to that hobby? I think we got off light.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
See that?
Although, I mean, I had friends whose their parents burned their books and stuff. So
same here.
Yeah, I actually was a victim of it. So I was staying with my aunt for a couple months. Situation resolved that, and she was she bought into the whole idea of satanic panic, and yeah, I had to burn my books. She didn't burn my books. I had to burn my books, which I think was even worse.
Yeah, that is pretty sucky.
But the devil was purged out of me, and now I'm a good boy. Still playing games.
Online with strangers.
Yes. And candy. So tell me what you're doing now with Dirge of Valeros, and is Fantasy Age the product you're kind of like into now?
Well, I'm currently working on a project for Green Ronin and on Fantasy Age. I've gotten to know the game quite well, which makes me happy because I do like the work, and it's a pretty nifty system. Of course, it does have, I lash out about character classes, but the ones in Fantasy Age are actually fairly broad, and then the characters are very customizable within the system. So I do think it's a really good system people should try if they haven't. But as far as my freelance work, right now it's focused on Fantasy Age.
Okay.
Nice.
Does Green Ronin have a Cyberpunk product? Cyberpunk meaning the genre, not the...
Oh, well, they've got Modern Age. They've got, there's all sorts of different things, and there are rules for, incorporating cybernetics, but I don't believe there are particularly they're not huge. They're like,
right.
Like, the original Drug Lab, it's kind of
a niche.
It's and it's meant to be expanded upon.
Right.
Although I could be wrong. There may be a Cyberpunk supplement for it, and I'm just flaking on it. But mostly I've been focusing on Fantasy Age. So
now, do you prefer fantasy role-playing games, Modern Age, sci-fi?
I'll play anything.
Okay.
One thing I don't get enough of is horror. I love horror games.
Call of Cthulhu.
But yeah, I'll play. Call of Cthulhu. Oh, back in the day, back in the old Cyberpunk days, we used to play Chill.
Oh yeah.
Which was
damn.
I remember Chill.
Chill and Jesus. Since the 90s, I don't think anybody's mentioned that to me.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I love a good horror game. Very rarely get to play them, and they're kind of a hard sell for a lot of folks because they can get kind of heavy.
Yeah. Yes, they
can. And how many successful Call of Cthulhu games? Sorry, how many successful Call of Cthulhu campaigns have there been?
Well, what do you consider successful?
Everybody goes crazy. In that case, they're all successful.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm running.
It appeals. Horror games appeal to an entirely different mindset generally than standard fantasy or science fiction role playing games. Like you have to go in almost knowing you're going to lose and be okay with that. And
Well,
That's
you also
that's
have to be a horror fan, which
yeah. I mean, that can be a hard sell.
yeah, is even
Who
even
doesn't like to be? Who doesn't like to be afraid once in a while? I mean, if it's
eh,
control burn,
some people do, right? So
S-
that's why we have session
Sadly,
0.
every time I've ever tried to get into a horror game, everybody just treated it like Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, this is not what I'm here for.
yeah, that's when you have to teach them this is not like Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, there's a certain mindset that is kind of a default.
Mm,
Murder hobo.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
murder hobo.
and I think new players, think they have ideas of what a role playing game is, and I think there's a maturity that I don't know if it's something that how long it takes, but I definitely see even myself, in the beginning of playing games, I was all about being a murder hobo, but eventually I was like, no, I want to, I want story, I want drama, I want or goofiness or some other thing while creating characters, which I think the amateur or the beginning players don't, or beginning people who are playing in tabletop games are just all about the computer, right? And how they play games in computers is fight the monster, get the treasure, fight the monster, get the treasure. And they're thrown into this tabletop experience which everyone's around the table collaborating and creating a story, and a story that's not that has no possible end, and or definition of what is success or what is an achievable goal sometimes, at least in my experience.
I do think that the newer gamers are bringing they do bring value to the hobby. And
Yeah,
I'm saying this because they're not seeing these games through our jaded jaundiced eyes. They're seeing it through completely new eyes. And yes, they may start out playing in a certain way, but I don't play the same anywhere nearly the same as I used to when I was starting out.
Yep.
I mean, back then all I wanted to do was kill shit, and take its stuff. And in Cyberpunk, I'm making a character. Okay, I'm buying equipment. Which gun does the most damage? That was me. That was me for a long time. Um,
I
but I,
honestly think the modern aesthetic has gone the other direction. Um, with these rules light systems, and like you've got things like Fate, which are almost ruleless. Everything is a narrative with players having as much input on everything that's happening as the GM. Almost like they can change what's happening to suit their own narrative. Um, like in the fourth edition Dungeons and Dragons days, it was very much computer game, like fight the monster, move to next fight the monster, move to next fight. But now it's almost like combat has taken a back seat in the modern gaming ethos for a lot of new gamers.
yeah, I mean, it's with them. It's about character. It's about relationships. It's about story,
Yeah.
personal stories, and it's. But who would have ever thought when we were starting out that there was ever going to be like a cozy cottagecore role-playing game where you play a little woodland animal living in a cottage, and
Yeah.
and your idea of an exciting day is hanging out and having tea with your friends. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think it's wonderful.
No, I mean, Wind in the Willows, the role playing game. I can see the appeal to it. It's not something I'm gonna get into, as much as I love the books as a kid. But I definitely see the appeal. I definitely see why there's an entire group of people that gravitate towards that, especially in today's society where everything is so violent and is so oppressive.
Yeah, it's just we've
Yeah.
come a long way from,
Well-
it's it's a does it attack me? I kill it. We've
Yeah.
we've come
Yeah.
a long way, and I find that refreshing.
And I think
Glorious.
the advent of live plays back in the early 2010s, where players, were starting to learn, like, we didn't have the internet to go out and say, oh, what is this game? How do you play this game? What's the point of this game? What are some of the things I need to know? Whereas now, I think the people who are getting into the games, they have this massive resource to do the necessary research and understand, oh, that's how you're supposed to play. Of course, it's also bad because I've been in a game where, everyone was expecting it to be like Critical Role. Where are those characters?
High production values. And,
Well,
No,
not
no,
like, everybody
they're
just
not
be
high
rippling
production.
off.
Yeah, not high production values, but the spot on. We're constantly moving. A GM doesn't have to look up the rules constantly.
Everybody reeling off constant,
Yeah.
spot on, clever dialogue.
Exactly, and
But what you don't see is that they do those things. They're
Yeah.
just, cut.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't have editors.
right.
Yeah,
But
our games are a little more real.
yeah, and I think we saw when I was growing up, the whole thing of like, oh, when like Drist's novels started coming out, everybody wanted to play a drow loner type of character. So it's that kind of feel of there's always an influence on the new player to be, or basically what they have to do is find their voice. And I think, as a GM, you have to be a little bit patient to accept that person or player's input and what they're trying to do, and hopefully they will get their own voice and not the voice of
Yeah.
someone else. But yeah,
With back in the day when we were learning, we
yeah,
were on we were there at the dawn of time. No, it wasn't quite that bad, but we were there early on, and we all learned the same bad habits from the same grubby gamers. It was a very male dominated hobby, and it was just so much less vibrant
yeah,
than it is today.
It honestly felt like, I remember, like, gaming groups were interchangeable for me in the early days, because they all kind of had the same mindset towards gaming. Some were a little more, some were a little less, but it was all, even if it wasn't murder hobo-y, it was still like based in like the wargaming aspect of tabletop games was still in full effect. And like character growth was secondary to kill stuff, looted goodies.
Yeah, I think we lost a lot. I think we lost a lot when back in the days of it's in your imagination. We didn't have maps, or if we drew a map at all, we drew it on a piece of lined college ruled note paper.
Yeah.
And it said this X is you, and nothing was to scale. I mean, that was how it was done back then,
yeah.
And
I still prefer Theater of the Mind.
yeah, Theater of the Mind is wonderful. It doesn't mean that there's no place for the more tactical oriented combat systems and games. And I think that's fun. I do actually enjoy that sometimes. But as long as it doesn't slow things down, and I think combats these days do last a little too long.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, I was just in a recent 3.5 campaign, and the GM, who's had this world for the past 30 plus years, the one thing he hated is combat. He's like, when you get into higher levels, I don't want to do it because it's basically an hour to 2 hours of just one battle.
Yep.
So we tried to avoid it as much as possible. But the battles were epic. So it's all fun and games. So we hit the hour mark. So Gary, I know you have to depart because of
Now,
other
what are you guys?
obligations.
What are you gonna do without me?
What am I going to do without you? Oh,
Yeah.
we
Just
roll
will.
on. If you want to stay,
Ramble on.
I know you mentioned that it could only last for an hour.
I can give you another 10 or 15 minutes.
All right.
All right, rolling.
If you've got any questions to like lead me out.
Oh, sure.
Of what you've released since you got into the gaming industry like proper, what's if you could like recommend one book that you've worked on, what would that be? Or two or three or whatever.
Let me find it. Let me find my list. All right. Now, I have not done nearly as much as a lot of other folks in the industry, in the tabletop games industry, because a lot of my creativity these days goes into the work I do in the computer games industry. So one of the reasons I kind of stopped freelancing when I did was I had gotten into this ultra creative industry with I'm writing stuff every day and I get paid for it, and holy shit, this is the best thing ever. And then doing that all day and then coming home and sitting down and working on more stuff for something else. There's only so much of that creative energy I can muster in a day. So I had to really be picky about the freelance projects I took. Because sometimes it's really hard to keep up with those things. And one of the important parts of those sorts of contracts is being on time. But as far as the game writing and design stuff, like the role-playing stuff, I like the as you said, the Dirge of Valor is my latest thing, and I like how it came out. It came out very well. And then Fantasy Age First Edition had a campaign builder's guide, and I really enjoyed that one too. It's mostly about advice for game masters. It's a real good source book. Even if you don't play Fantasy Age, it's really good to have on hand just to read the ideas and kind of see how it's done.
Okay, so with your writing, do you prefer game mechanics or do you prefer like lore and scenario design?
I kind of go back and forth. A little bit of nugget of reality. The current project I'm working on required a lot of system stuff, and I hadn't really been doing a lot of system stuff for a while. So there's definitely a muscle there. If you don't use it, it can be kind of hard to get it working again. But I managed to, and I feel free now. But yeah, it's. I do like system design, but I also really do enjoy world building. I enjoy just coming up with new ideas and different perceptions of things and putting different things in different contexts. So it's a hard call. I think if I have to prefer one or the other, I'd probably prefer the world building, the softer, fluffier stuff. That doesn't mean, as I said, it doesn't mean I don't enjoy the process of systems, but they do take so much longer to get right.
You got to balance it all. You got to make sure it actually works within what you're doing. I'm with you. I definitely prefer the pure creativity of doing the lore stuff as opposed to the mechanics. And I mean, I love me some mechanics. I love working on mechanics. But if you ask me which one I prefer, I'm with you. It's the lore stuff.
Well, it does go back to the thing that got me into writing professionally.
Yeah.
Was the mechanics. That was what I would do for Cyberpunk on Mockery's site. All that stuff was mechanic oriented, system oriented. I mean, granted, there was some flavor, but
I say you've got the gas lamp district and your temptation strip club. Like it's important.
That was. Do you have a mirror of the site up?
Well, I mean, I messaged you about 15 years ago and asked you for permission to put your stuff on my archive. It's all still there. And as long as Data Fortress exists, your stuff will remain in infamy. Uh,
What a legacy!
I mean, I've got 10 different files of yours on the archive, like the Discount Cyber Shop, the rules for gangs,
Did we ever
your
post
man's
the cyber housing rules? Did we ever post those?
Cyber House rules.
Cyberhound.
Oh, Cyberhound. No, I don't.
Oh, rules for a man's best friend. Yes, I've
Yes,
got that
thank
up
you.
there too.
That was always one of my favorites.
I love that. Alternate character generation, your gangs article, New Mexico cops game.
Yep, that was one of the cops games I was talking about earlier. It was a lot of fun to
That
do.
was one adventure, and then you also had another adventure called Amnesia.
Oh yeah, that was like a most dangerous game sort of thing where
Yeah,
some entertainment corporation that serves the wealthy kidnaps people and then drops them without their memories in a bad location, and then they get hunted down by their customers. But the players didn't know that when we started. And we ended up having this flashback in the middle of it that revealed where they had come from, and they were actually from Orbit. They had been Orbital Work Gang members before they were taken prisoner by this company. But
and of course, Ocelot's Drug Lab, which is yeah, like I said, I've seen that. I've seen that rejiggered for every edition of Cyberpunk and about half a dozen other games.
I just thought it was cool back in the day when I was running my site and somebody contacted me and said, "Do you mind if I translate all your articles into Polish?"
Yeah.
Well, that might have been some of the guys who are part of CDPR.
Well, they should hire me.
Yeah.
That's kind of our tagline is they should hire us.
You willing to move to the East Coast?
I'm in North Carolina right now. I mean, it's not that much further to Massachusetts.
No, that's true. They are hiring right now.
Oh, I know. All I want for Christmas. Yeah.
I'm sure your wife would love to move.
Oh, well, there's the reality of being in the computer games industry is that we have moved. Oh, what was the last count? In the past 18 years, we have moved like 12 or 13 times.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we
Almost
don't like moving.
like an army family.
Yeah, that's what it feels like sometimes. I say the gaming industry is kind of like the army.
I'm getting deployed to California now.
Not that economy, but
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not a fun place to be these days either. There have been too many layoffs, and too many people I know have been affected. I mean, it's getting to the point where I know more people out of work than who are in work, and it's, well, that's kind of an exaggeration, but it feels like that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, the world is becoming the dystopian future that Mike warned us about.
So
Well, it's too bad I don't have any other skills to apply. If I were living in a cyberpunk world, I would probably I'd probably not survive.
You'd be a netrunner.
That requires speed of thought, requires systems knowledge and things like that.
Techie?
God, I don't know. I don't have a message, so I'm not going to be a rocker boy.
You're a software developer, not in the hardware.
I'm just a writer.
Oh, yeah. Media.
Yeah, maybe. I've thought about dabbling in movie reviews.
There you go. Yeah, so yeah, and to your point about the system is you also have to go through like playtesting, and that's a whole other odd thing that I don't think back in our days when people were designing games they really play tested much, because you can always tell, wait a minute, this rule is so overpowered.
That's true. There wasn't a lot of QA in the early days of tabletop gaming. Thank God we have people are starting to reason. It's very hard to edit yourself, honestly, if you're so close to the work. It's always good to get it in front of somebody else's eyes.
Yes. Yeah. I constantly have one of our main managers, because I'm in software development, who's always like, well, the developers should be testing this. I'm like, no, they should not. They are the last people who should be testing this. Like,
well, is that necessarily true, though? I mean, if you're submitting a change to something,
yeah,
shouldn't you test your change before you put it in?
Correct, but there definitely has to go through QA.
Yeah, definitely.
So
that's something I've learned a lot about in the past 18 years.
Yeah.
Quality assurance.
Quality assurance, yes. Sometimes there is quality assurance, sometimes it's bypassed for whatever reason. Derek, you got any more questions?
I mean, I think we've covered just about everything.
You can cut me loose.
Yeah,
that's good.
Well, do you think you're going to get back into Cyberpunk at any day in the future?
I won't say. I'm not going to say no. My big plan is once I get done with the current freelance project, because we've only recently just moved into this place we're in now. I still have to bring all my Cyberpunk books out of the garage and unpack them. And once that happens, who knows what I might do. But like a grog nerd, I'm probably going to use my old rules.
There you go.
Makes sense to me.
And just use the lore from the Cyberpunk books.
Well, Mr. Astleford, I would like to say that I am so very happy that we have kept in touch over the years.
Yeah. I'm chuffed as well.
I cannot tell you how much of an inspiration Mockeries was to me as I was starting out with Data Fortress, even before I took over. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that we could talk to you.
Definitely.
I'm glad you've stuck with it, because you're one of the most devoted Cyberpunk fans out there. And so yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity to come on and gab with you folks for a while.
Yes, I definitely, out of all the sites other than Derek's, the Mockery site was one of the, always for me, the go-to site. And when it went down, I was like heartbroken. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, I'm finally gonna update the hyperlinks page, and I'm dreading removing it from the list of active sites. Like, It's been down for quite a while now, but I still I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, things got complicated, and I guess the website just sort of fell by the wayside, and then the domain name got bought by somebody else.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh. Well.
Oh well. Well, anyways,
thank you to you for everything you've done, and thank you to your wife Amy. The two of you were just fantastic, and thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's very flattering. But yeah, if you ever need another guest, you know where I am.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. You're always welcome on the show.
Yep.
Hell, even if you're just listening to us for whatever reason and feel like you got something to say, just feel free to pop in. You've got the permissions.
Are Christian Conkle and the rest of those folks still around?
I've still got Christian Conkle on my Facebook. I still see him post regularly.
It might be fun to get some of those old content creators from that day and age back together in like a roundtable format here.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think I've ever met any of them.
There's just one I don't think we want.
Well,
But
he can't get on a computer anyway, so we
Yeah.
don't have to worry about that.
Can you name names? Can you send me a message? Who are we talking
I'll
about?
let you know after the show. Or I'll send you a message. But yeah, no, I've got Dave Simpson still that I talk to. I talk to him almost daily.
Nighthawk.
Mark is I don't talk to Nighthawk much anymore. Paul Ramin, he's
heard that
not
name in
very
years.
active. Yeah, he's not very active on social media. He used to. I don't know if he's still on my friend list on Facebook or not, but I never see him post if he is. I reached out to him
he
a
Night
few
Flyer?
years ago. Yeah, Night
Okay.
Flyer. Wait, who are we talking
Yeah.
about?
Paul Romaine.
Who did you ask me about? Yeah, Night Flyer.
Yeah.
I get confused easily. I'm old.
But I think that'd be awesome. I think it'd be fun to have a bunch of us.
I would too.
Just just a bullshit session, or it's not like we could have a beer on your show.
There you go.
Anyway,
all
right.
Thanks again, Gary, for joining us. Yeah, and we'll keep in contact.
All right.
All right.
You guys
Yeah,
have a great night.
You too.
You too, pal.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. So that was Gary ASTLEFORD. His latest project was for Fantasy Age, the Dirge of Valeros. Go check it out if you're looking for fantasy by Green Ronin Games. I'll have to say I have yet to look into it, but I'm definitely interested. Go check it out. So, I am Cybersmily. You can check my site out at cybersmily.net. I'm also on various Discord servers. I have my own Discord server. If you do Cybersmily, it's probably going to be me. Same with Reddit. I'm on a lot of various Reddit threads or concerning Cyberpunk, and I'm also on Blue Sky. So come check me out or ping me questions.
I am your co-host, Derek Bernier, Wisdom000. I run Datafortress2020.com. I am on Facebook at the Datafortress group, where I obviously am owner. I also am admin at the Cyberpunk 2020 group and the Cybernation Uncensored group, where I'm a moderator. I'm on Reddit at both the I frequent the Cyberpunk game, Cyberpunk 2020, and Cyberpunk Red groups. I'm on like almost 24 different Cyberpunk groups on Discord, and mostly Cybersmily space, the Artalsorian group, Cyberpunk RPG, and Cybernation Uncensored there.
Hanging out on
Cyberpunk Red 2020 fans. That's what I was thinking of. Night
Crew game server.
I just joined the Night Crew game server.
We got to follow up with them and get us onto the demo or play testers.
That's very true.
Meaning to get that back up, but.
So you can reach out to us through any of that. I'm also on Blue Sky. Reach out to us through any of those means. We love to hear from you. Your comments, complaints, suggestions, criticisms. If you've got ideas for future shows, if you've got lines on any guests that you think we might be interested in talking to, we love to hear from you. We just love talking Cyberpunk really at all times. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us for that. We'd like to again thank Gary ASTLEFORD, aka Ocelot of Mockery's Datafortress. And we'd like to thank Rob Mulligan and Cybernation Uncensored for hosting us. Thank you again for joining in with us and listening. And we'll see you again on what? The
3rd. 2 weeks.
On the 3rd of September, 2 weeks from now. Everybody have a good night.
Yep. Till next time.
Cybernation Uncensored. 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 Cybernation Uncensored.